Good morning, Junior 4. Hope all of you are okay. Now let's start to solve our revision sheets. Number 1, adaptation and survival. Number 1 is a process by which a species change over many generations through mutation. Mutation here means to change your traits. If we have parents with black hair and their offspring is with brown hair, so now we can say that this process is called mutation, which means that there is a change in their traits, okay? So we can say that we can add another keyword for adaptation, and now we can say that we have 4 keywords about adaptation. Adaptation is a process that helps living organisms to number 1 survive, number 2 reproduce, and don't forget reproduce, not produce or create, okay? To reproduce, which means that we will do this action for several times to save the species of living organisms. Number 3, change over generation due to the reproduce, of course. And number 5, mutation or change in traits. So now we can choose adaptation because it is a keyword for this process. Number 2, adaptation process by which species change over many generations through, for sure, mutation. So if we have adaptation, so you have to choose mutation. If we have mutations, you have to choose adaptation, because for sure extinction and decomposition, both of them similar to the same process. Extinction, we said that no means no longer exists in the real life. Decomposition is a process that's happening after the living organisms are death, okay? Digestion, for sure, adaptation don't help in the digestion process, or digestion don't help to change over generations. But here, in case of number 3, the shape and size of bird's beak and the change had changed from the parents to the offspring. Offspring here means the outcome or the products of the parents, okay? This change is the physical this change in the physical peak trait is called. Don't forget that we have 2 types of adaptation. We have structural adaptation or physical. Don't forget that physical and structural are similar to each other, and we have behavioral, okay? So now, because the change here in the structure of the living organism, so we can say that we have structural adaptation or physical adaptation. Now we have mutation, adaptation, preservation, and niche. Preservation, to save the things as it is, so it will be no. Niche here means to be specialized or to be something for specialization, so it will also be no. Mutation and adaptation. We will choose mutation because it's something more specific here to the change in the shape and size of the bird's beak. If we talk in general, the changes that occur inside the human included mutation, physical, behavioral, so you can choose adaptation. But here, once adaptation and mutation are available, so you have to choose. Is it talking about something in general, so we will choose adaptation. But if it is talking about something specific or something limited or something refers to a part of adaptation, so you have to choose mutation, okay? Number 4 is the change of traits. Once you see a change in the traits, we said that a change in traits refers to mutation. We can't choose adaptation because it's something specific. It's a part of adaptation, a change of traits only. If he said that process help living organisms in general, so you have to choose adaptation. Mutation over time and generation can improve. Mutation always used to improve our offspring, to help them to survive, to help them to reproduce, the same aims of the process of adaptation in general. But you have to know that if the offspring of the birds is doing the mutation, which means that birds can change their traits, okay? I think this mutation will help the species of birds, not help all living organisms. So, mutation over time and generation can improve an organism's survival. No, we can't generalization this process for all living organisms. It's something will improve and help their species. So when the mutation occur in the human, so it will help other humans. If it occur in the birds, so it will help other birds. So it will help the species of the living organisms from the same type. Species mean the type of the living organisms. For sure, mutation doesn't help in air pollution or water pollution. Air pollution and water pollution, so you have to remove the wastes. Okay. Number 6, organisms that cannot do what will die of. Which of these process if the living organisms can't do, so they will die? Recycle? No. Produce their own food? No, because living organisms are two types. Type that can do or that can produce their own food by themselves, like the plants and another type of a species that depend on another living organisms to feed on, like us, depend on the plants, depend on the animals to can prepare our food. So we can say that without produce their own food, they will die, because we can't produce our own food and we're still alive. Decompose, we said that decompose is a process already done after the death of the living organisms. So adapt to environmental change, it will be our correct choice. Number 7, beneficial traits can be adapted to allow species to survive environmental change and increase in population. Population means the number of the living organisms, and beneficial here means the positive side of the traits. What is the positive side of the trait? Over time and generation, quickly over one generation. I think that quickly over one generation we can't choose it, because he said that increase in population, so it means that it will change over a lot of generations, so we can't just take quickly over one generation to see the effect of it in a lot of other generations. Over time, as a trait is learned and taught, traits can't learn and can't taught. Suddenly, when a species decided to change, we said that always the rapid changes don't be useful for us. Okay, so we need over time and generations to can see the effect of it in the other generations, so we can see the effect of increase in population. Number 8, biological adaptation. Biological adaptation means that this adaptation will occur inside our selves or in the offsprings. Primarily included changes that help what in an environment. Primarily means depend on or the main target of biological adaptation. Account for adversity, we said that account for adversity means to increase or to can count the number of problems. So for sure biological adaptation don't help us to make a lot of terribles or a lot of problems. Advanced lifespan, advanced means to make it advanced, to make it developed, so we can't change our ages suddenly to make it advanced or increased. Enhance survival, enhance means to improve the survival, it will be the correct answer, but you have to complete to make sure that No one else can be the answer. Decrease reproduction. For sure adaptation don't help us to decrease the number of us. Okay.